Remember, there were some off-the-field difficulties last year, and when the program starts losing and there's some off-the-field difficulties, it usually signals a coaching change. So we'll see what happens there. I'd love to bet back New Mexico in this spot because I know they're going to get fired up for Boise State. And the Broncos could be in a letdown spot, but boy, I mean, New Mexico's just not real good. And, maybe Boise finally winning in a game that mattered. Maybe that gets them rolling. They've been kind of an underachiever despite a decent record.
You remember the game, and you remember the series. New Mexico had just beaten UNLV, the high point of their season. Things were looking good. They were at Colorado State. They had the lead late in the fourth quarter. Bob Davie ran the ball 3 times up the middle and punted. And then Colorado State proceeded to kick the game-winning field goal. Since that time, they've lost 38-7, 61-19, 31-23, and 42-24. I guess the 31-23 at San Diego State, at home against San Diego State, was the good one.
That was a good effort. Good effort. But, let's face it. Let's call it straight.
Home.
The Aztecs they're not real good this year. Okay, this is just not a great San Diego State team.
No, and Rocky Long's been trying to tell you that.
He said it before the season started.
If you wanted to listen. But, on the other hand, it's a real mismatch. It was 28-14 last year. Boise didn't even cover at home against the squad, beaten by 2 touchdowns. And I think they'll be happy to win this one by 2 touchdowns. Yeah. But the Lobos, it takes a leap of faith for me.
They're kind of on the no-play list at this point. Yeah. I played them last week and got beat, taking 13.5 against the Air Force, and it was the wrong side. Okay, it was just the wrong side. So, anyway, that's it for the MJ Christensen 4 at 4. We'll tell you more about what's going on at that great store at Boca Park on Monday. Right now, it's time to bring in Aaron Kessler, who is a last-minute substitution for Tony Miller today to get us behind the counter on the NFL. Aaron, we talked with Paul Stone on the show yesterday. He remains on top in the Ultimate Football Challenge. Over $300,000 in prize money, 100% payout in that great contest. And he is 48-18-4 going into this weekend. That is just amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's just an amazing season. 30 games above with, only 10 weeks in the books. He's 3 games over 500 a week. That's incredible.
And a reminder, you can see everybody's selections on Saturday morning. If you go to the Golden Knight Sportsbook, you just search Golden Knight, let's say Golden Knights?
Yes.
Golden Nuggets. Golden Knights would not have the selections in the contest up. The Golden Nugget would. And you can check them out. So you find the leaders, just scroll down the list till you find the guys, check the standings first, and then mark down the ones you want to check and see what they've played, and you just go down the list because all the selections are there, and you can see for yourself what everybody's playing.
Yeah, they're up bright and early Saturday morning. We generally try to have them up before 8 o'clock.
All right, so we'll start with last night, and we mentioned this already. I mean, basically, it couldn't have gone worse for most books with the game landing right on 3. You are a Wisconsin house, a lot of Packer money all the time. So how did this result suit you?
It wasn't too bad for us, You can only win so much money when it falls right on the number, and especially when it goes over. But, it's as good as it can be.
All right, let's get to the games. We'll find out where the money's been showing this week, and Aaron's thoughts on the contest as well. And we'll start with the Panthers and Lions.
Well, Panthers-Lions game is kind of interesting. Got 2 teams going in different directions. Panthers really playing for something, and the Lions are heading towards the point where they are playing for absolutely nothing. It's been all Panther money here early. It's been fairly lightly bet, and we're still at 4.5.
Yeah, it's certainly an intriguing game in Atlanta on Sunday as the Cowboys come to town after salvaging their season with the win over Philly last week. The Falcons, on the other hand, kind of coughed up whatever momentum they had in an ugly loss at Cleveland. What are you seeing for the action between the Cowboys and the Falcons?
This one split real well. If you asked me about this a week ago, I would have said it was going to be all Falcon money, but people remember what they saw last. The Cowboys had a decent performance against the Eagles, and the Falcons, again, spit the bit against the Browns. So I think that you're going to see some nice balanced action on this game.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. I think that's going to be I think it might be a popular betting game as well because it's the Cowboys. Whenever the Cowboys are off a win, Aaron, they always start to draw action, right?
Oh, yeah. If the Cowboys are on TV, people will be betting on them.
So I know there's no line anywhere right now for Cincinnati, Baltimore. Joe Flacco is not going to play. We don't know if Lamar Jackson is going to play. There was RG3 talk.
I know.
When we talk about adjustments for the Ravens, what type of adjustment would you make for Flacco to Jackson and or from Flacco to RG3?
I think you're looking at probably about a 4 or 5 point drop off for both of them. Not that Flacco is any great shakes, but I'm not a Lamar Jackson fan at all. I just don't like his precision. I don't think he's going to be an NFL quarterback. RG3, he can be good, but he hasn't been on the field in a couple of years.
I actually think they're better off with Griffin than Jackson.
I tend to agree with you.
At least you got a guy who wants to prove something because he's become a forgotten man and he'd like to play against someplace. I think it's more of an adjustment if Jackson's the starter. I think it's a full touchdown.
Well, I would certainly make it a full touchdown on my personal ratings, but I'm not sure the market would agree with me. Flacco's not, one of the top quarterbacks in the league anymore.
Yeah, the market adjusted a full touchdown on that. Cincy would be a road favorite at Baltimore.
I think Cincinnati should be there. If Jackson's on the field, I would make Cincinnati a road favorite, especially with the problems the Ravens have right now with an uncertain future for their coach, who might be a lame duck at this point. Marvin Lewis is never going to be a lame duck because he clearly has a lifetime contract with the Bengals, so he doesn't fall into that situation. Let's go to the Steelers and Jaguars, and here's a game. If we're talking week 1, this is one of the main attractions of the schedule. And I bumped this here because this is the flex game. This was originally a Sunday night game. We did our own flex here and flexed the Steelers-Jaguars in where the Vikings-Bears were. We'll save that for later since it's a marquee matchup now. At least as far as the NFL schedule is concerned. And, in fact, it's going to be our marquee matchup on the show as well. So let's talk Steelers and Jaguars, where you got the Steelers who are – Aaron, they look like serious contenders at this point, and the Jaguars look like they've imploded.
Yeah, they've really picked it up and turned it around. The Steelers got off to a slow start to the season, but now you look at them, they're in Le'Veon Who mode, and they've just shown that they don't need him. James Conner is doing almost as much as Bell ever did. And they've got a great team going right now. Jaguars, I thought, watching the first half of last week's game, that they might have just given up. And then they really came around in the second half and proved me wrong.
Yeah, and then screwed it up at the end anyway.
Yeah, well, that's Jacksonville football for you.
Can you get any action here in Jacksonville, or is this going to be one of those 80-20 games in terms of ticket percentage?
No, we're seeing some Jacksonville money show up early.
What about the Saints and the Eagles? The Saints have to be a consistent 80% kind of team right about now, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's
New
a
Orleans
team we're having
Cincinnati
trouble
result
getting money
last week
against.
was bad for you. I'm sorry?
That's a team we're having a lot of trouble getting money against is the Saints. People want to be on that Saints team every week, and I understand why. They look great. They're scoring at will. What's not to like? Philly just couldn't stop the Cowboys. How are they going to stop the Saints? But the NFL is funny like that.
Yeah, it might be funny, but I've been backing the Saints, and I ain't getting off them either. I don't care if it's a public site or not. I'm going to have a New Orleans ticket again this weekend. I will not have a ticket in the Titans-Colts game, but I actually am looking forward to this game. This might be, look, this is a big game as far as potential playoffs are concerned, and it doesn't matter whether these teams are Super Bowl contenders or not. They want to get to the playoffs. The Titans have really picked things up. That's a signature win for them last week against New England. The Colts hung on to win their game, and that kept them alive, and we've got a real big divisional contest here.
Yeah, they're rounding into form, the Titans are. After starting out the season in form, then being out of form, now being back in form. The offense is finally clicking. And speaking of offenses clicking, how good did Indianapolis look in the first half last week?
They got shut out after halftime.
But the first half, they looked great.
They did. But you know, one thing, Andrew Luck really is beautiful to watch. If you like the way he just quick releases, the handoffs are crisp. He runs his fakes about as well as anybody. You can't tell who has the football. Guy's a great player. I hope he can stay on the field.
Andrew Luck hasn't been sacked in 4 weeks. No surprise you're seeing over money on that game, eh?
Yeah, no doubt. We're starting to get a little bit over there. But, it's funny. The big numbers, they always seem to balance out, right?
The Redskins and the Texans. Washington last week gave up 500 yards and 3 points. One of the more insane box scores you'll ever look at, one of the funner play-by-plays you can ever go through. Are the bettors saying that's a good thing, that they only held them to 3, or it's a bad thing they gave up 500 yards?
Well, the bettors aren't saying too much yet, but I do have some early Texan money. So that's one thing they're saying, Texans on the money line. And, I don't think anyone believes in the Redskins. Meanwhile, they're 6-3. They're almost untouchable at home. And they're a couple of games away from running away with this division. So who knows?
Who are the Bucks playing? I wrote Saints down on the rundown.
Giants.
Oh, it's the Bucks. Oh, yes, this is a classic matchup right here. The Giants on a one-game winning streak, and the Bucks.
Are not.
Boy, oh boy. Are people going to bet on the Giants to win 2 straight?
I don't know. There's a lot of people out there with money to burn. Frankly, I love Tampa in this spot. I think they're substantially the better team here. I do not trust the Giants at all.
Yeah, and Philly didn't blitz a whole lot on that last drive, knowing that draft position was on the line. Broncos and the Chargers. Well, sometimes, some years, this is a marquee matchup. Now Denver's 3-6, and everybody's under fire in Denver right now. What are you seeing in terms of the betting action down at the Golden Nugget?
We've actually taken a decent amount of Bronco money here. That's been one of the sharper plays of the week. And the Chargers are such a weird team. They've always got a great offense, great defense, and they keep screwing everything up. They find ways. It's the kickers, or it'll be a fumble, but it's always something with the Chargers.
That's for sure. It's always nothing with this team. And this is their biggest game of the year. This is the biggest game for the Oakland Raiders this season. They have to lose this football game. There's no question in my mind. This is as obvious as it was with the 76ers and the NBA. There is no question in my mind they are playing to get the number 1 draft choice, and they must lose this game to the Arizona Cardinals. And I am going to bet the Arizona Cardinals here because they're playing hard, and they're going to win this game. I would be really surprised if the Cardinals don't win this game.
Hey, I'll be honest with you. The Cardinals aren't playing half-bad football right now. They were competent against the Chiefs. We didn't expect them to win that game, but they played all right. And they're starting to pick it up. Rosen is starting to look at least like a NFL quarterback, even if he is a rookie. He's not ready to be in the elite yet, but he can get out of his own way a little bit, which is more than you can say for some other quarterbacks.
He could have a career game here.
Is anyone betting it?
Not too much, no. It's been one of the lower games of the week, and I anticipate it will stay that way.
They ought to. I'm telling you. That's probably. I'll just give it away now. It's probably going to be my best bet this week in the NFL is the Cardinals. I am absolutely convinced the Raiders are going to try and lose this football game, and it's a cheap number. So what I've seen as far as the betting action is concerned is on the Cardinals, and I think that's probably something that makes sense.
So you teased it earlier. Let's get to it now. Sunday night marquee matchup: Kirk Cousins and Mitch Trubisky. What are you dealing down the Nugget? I'm seeing 2.5s and/or 3s, depending on where you look.
We're 2.5 minus 20, so we're right in the middle of that bunch. And I'll tell you, we could not be any more even on this game.
Really?
Ticket count is 50-50, dead on.
Dead on. That's as even as it gets. Total-wise, you seen any action on that?
Seeing a little bit to the over, a little bit to the under, but I do know we'll get some over money back because it's a Sunday night game, and you always get over money on the Sunday night game.
And you're going to get more over money on Monday night.
You think?
Yeah, I do. But is this going to be at the Nugget like some of the other books in town are saying, where they know they're going to get a ton of tickets on the over, but some of the numbers guys are just going to come in and play the under just because of the number being where it is. But I've also heard this from Jason Simbel a couple of days ago that they're actually seeing some of their sharper total guys playing the over as well. So might this be a game where you end up with liability?
Well, I don't know. I mean, we can always move the total. There's always a middle scenario, but we'll move the total if we need to. I'm just surprised that you're seeing that because I figured you would see the sharper guys on the under here. Problem is their models don't have any 63s to go off of.
Right, and I think it's going to be a knee-jerk under from some sharp underplay or sharp total players who are just looking at this and they don't bet teams, they bet numbers, and they'll bet the under. But I think when you look at the teams, I don't see how you can make a case for the under, even at this number. To me, it's pass or play the over. Nobody's stopping anybody in this game.
I actually like the under a little bit here.
Okay.
I'm not sure there'll be a whole bunch of defense being played, but I think there's going to be enough.
And sidewise, what are you seeing on that game? Since it reopened.
Well, since it reopened, we've gone to 3.5 on the game. We opened at 4 briefly, and that got moved pretty fast. So it's been holding steady at 3.5 since then.
Not that big of an adjustment from where it was in Mexico City, actually.
No, not really. Mainly because the Rams don't have any fans.
Yeah, you're right. We've talked about this yesterday. I mean, if you're going to do an over and under on which team has more fans in the stands, Kansas City travels well. I would not be surprised if this sounds like a Chiefs home game.
Oh, the last Chiefs-Rams game I saw, or it was a Chiefs-Chargers game that I was looking at a picture of, and it was 75% Chiefs fans.
Oh, more than that. I'll take the over.
It's crazy.
All right, what's going on at the Nugget this weekend?
Oh, we got a great show in tonight. We got Great White and Slaughter as part of our 52 Fridays.
It's too new for me.
You were around in the 80s, Dave.
Yeah, but I was already,
Well, next week we've got Eric Burden and the Animals.
Ah,
You'll
now you're
remember
talking.
them, so you
Yes.
can get your tickets early for that one.
Great. And listen,